Good morning again, you guys. It's another beautiful morning, although the air quality today is very not good. But what's new? So today we're going to be reading Nehemiah chapter 2. In the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when wine was brought for him, I took the wine and I gave it to the king. I had not been sad in his presence before. So the king asked me, "Why does your face look so sad when you are not ill?" "This can be nothing but sadness of heart." I was very much afraid, but I said to the king, "May the king live forever. Why should my face not look so sad when the city where my fathers are buried lies in ruins, and its gates have been destroyed by fire?" The king said to me, "What is it you want?" Then I prayed to the God of heaven, and I answered the king, "If it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in his sight, let him send me to the city in Judah where my fathers are buried, so that I can rebuild it." Then the king, with the queen sitting beside him, asked him, "How long will your journey take, and when will you be back?" It pleased the king to send me, so I set a time. That's an interesting one. I also said to him, "If it pleases the king, may I have letters to the governors of Trans-Euphrates, so that they will provide me safe conduct until I arrive in Judah. And may I have a letter to Asaph, keeper of the king's forest." So that sounds so magical, keeper of the king's forest. So he will give me timber to make beams for the gates of the citadel by the temple, and for the city wall, and for the residence I will occupy. And because the gracious hand of my God was upon me, and the king granted my request. So I went to the governors of Trans-Euphrates and gave them the king's letters. The king had also sent armies and cavalry with me. When Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite officially heard about this, they were very much disturbed that someone had come to promote the welfare of the Israelites. I went to Jerusalem, and after staying there 3 days, I set out during the night with a few men. I had not told anyone what my God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. There were no mounts with me except the one I was riding on. By night, I went out through the valley gate towards the Jackal Well and the Dung Gate, examining the walls of Jerusalem, which had been broken down, and its gates, which had been destroyed by fire. Then I moved on toward the fountain gate and the king's pool, but there was not enough room for my mount to get through. So I went up the valley by night, examining the wall. Finally, I turned back and re-entered through the valley gate. The officials did not know where I had gone or what I was doing, because as yet I had said nothing to the Jews or the priests or the nobles or officials or any others who would be doing the work. Then I said to them, "You see the trouble we are in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been burned with fire. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, and we will no longer be in disgrace." I also told them about the gracious hand of my God upon me and what the king had said. They replied, "Let us start rebuilding." So they began this good work. But when Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite official, and Geshem the Arab heard about it, they mocked and ridiculed us. "What is this you are doing?" they asked. "Are you rebelling against the king?" I answered them by saying, "The God of heaven will give us success. We, his servants, will start rebuilding. But as for you, you have no share in Jerusalem or any claim or historic right to it." Woo! That is a long and very complex chapter. I need to read this like 3 times to really actually like understand what it means or like get all the intricacies. But from the first read through, like what I gather on this is, first of all, like Nehemiah is not presumptuous, you know? He's not like, well, I'm just gonna get, you know, like he's not just like, okay, king, you know, do this for me. Like he's very humble, you know? He knows his role and he's not like demanding, you know, but he is sincere and honest, and he knows the weight of what has transpired, and he knows that he might be the only person who really cares, or him and a few other people might be the only people that really care to rebuild what's been burned and torn down. And the other thing that stands out to me too is that he knows the lay of the land, so to speak. Like he knows who's in what power. He knows like who tends to the forest, you know, who he knows all the gates. Like that's his homeland. And so he kind of has like a strategy, I guess I would say. You know, there's a familiarity to what he is fighting for. And I also like where it says, like, let us start rebuilding. So they began this good work, you know? It's like he set an intention and did it, you know? And he also knew who to set boundaries with. Like right at the end here, it's like people who were mocking him, people who, you know, were trying to like stand against him. He's like, basically, like, if you don't have a heart for this, like, you have no right to it. You know, so although he was humble and you know, made the request to his king, he was also very strong in his stance of, this is my homeland, it's torn down, I'm going to rebuild it, don't get in my way, you know? And so that's something for me, because I am a people pleaser. I'm getting better, and I'm getting better at standing up for myself. But, you know, if this was me, like, and they were mocking me, I might, first of all, like, break down crying and be like, they hurt my feelings, which is a valid response too. And, you know, maybe if I was in my people pleasing, you know, triggered trauma response, I might be like, well, you know, will you help? Or like, you know, or okay, you know, but it's like, it's so important to really know, you know, if you're doing something that you feel strongly about, then you've got to know who isn't really there to be helpful, and stay like, if you're not going to help, then ship on out, you know? So this can apply to anything that you're rebuilding in your life, you know? For me, this even applies to rebuilding my own heart, you know? It's like, if you're gonna mock me and put me down or whatever, and you're not here to have like a healthy back and forth, then sorry. I mean, I just can't, I just don't have the extra right now to handle other people's extra. And what I mean by extra is like, it, you know, people who are not for you, for healing and for just being kind, you know? We're allowed to struggle, we're allowed to have issues, but all that to say, like, I think that it's okay to make your stand and to be like, you know what, you don't seem like you're here for the right reason, so I'm gonna do what I set to do, and I'm going to, You know, like even right here it says, "Come, let us rebuild the wall." You know, like he's beseeching, like, "Do you want to rebuild the wall with me?" You know, and those who want to, he's like, "Well, then let's get building." You know, so I hope you can find people in your life where you're like, "Hey, I want to do this," and they're like, "Well, let's get doing that." You know. Anyway, those are my thoughts for today.